Hey, self-healers. Today, I want to share a very personal story with you, but not for your empathy, though you may feel it, but really to show you how healing can sometimes be found in the most ordinary moments. And that's mostly when we notice discomfort. We'll go into more of that as I go, though. Um, Part of the magic of being human and tuning into our bodies happens in those moments when we unexpectedly access the potential for healing or go deeper in our healing process. When we notice discomfort, and it could be physical, emotional, or mental, or even discomfort that you're experiencing in your life, like being stuck, not being able to achieve a goal or create an outcome that you desire. Um, it's a signal. The discomfort is the signal that something needs attention. Something is ready to heal. It needs your attention, and attention means you become aware of it. Awareness in and of itself is not healing. Sometimes it feels like, oh my gosh, I understand this about myself. Now I understand. Um, it's a step towards healing. It's opening all the doors and windows to healing. It's potential for healing, for deep healing. So awareness is really important, but there is kind of a next step, which is how we respond. So we have to notice and respond. And that way we're bringing our nervous system into our healing process. Okay. Before I share my story, I just want to say that healing, the process of healing is not always linear. And it's sometimes takes longer than we want it to. And that's actually okay. That's sometimes our process. And how long the process is really depends on the individual. It's very subjective. But it's really only okay. It only feels okay, at least. When your effort, whatever effort you're making to heal, whatever actions you're taking, um, when you're getting results from your effort, then it doesn't feel so bad if it's a bit of a process. But not being linear also means that sometimes we feel like we've healed something and then feel like that gets erased when it comes back up later and there's still a little bit of pain or emotions attached to it. But that's actually understanding your healing process. That's a whole other video. And I've actually made that video. Try to link to it. But anyway, um, when you understand that when you heal something, if it's something that was like a deep wound, especially, it can be multifaceted. Um, you are human beings in general, and you included, myself included, we're all very multifaceted. We're not just our thoughts or our feelings or our big toe or any other part of our body. Um, Everything is kind of interconnected, okay? So a big part of actually progressing on and understanding your healing journey involves understanding your nervous system because your nervous system is what gets triggered. It's what activates discomfort and those repetitive patterns or something coming back up that we think we've healed and dealt with. And it shouldn't be coming back up, or it must mean that we didn't, in fact, heal. And like all of our effort is for nothing. And I've been there. I have been so frustrated with my process. And I've worked with so many clients that are too. And really shifting what you believe to be true about healing and understanding your physical body and the nervous system's role in your healing process and how to work with it are the keys to success for not having that frustration and not feeling like you're hitting that invisible but very real wall. Okay. For me personally, healing, growth, and personal development are and learning, okay, are just lifelong journeys for me. I'm never going to stop striving to learn something new or to heal or grow or create changes that that feel good, that support me, that I feel passionate about, that I'm curious about. But early on, I was frustrated and really angry about my process, my healing. It felt like it would never end. It felt like I was never going to get out of it. But what I've learned through my own experience and with working with my clients is this: healing doesn't necessarily fit into our timeline or what we need, but we can create what we need. We really can. We just need support. Her nervous system needs it, and your effort needs it too, because it's really hard when we have something to heal. That means our nervous system is carrying some patterns, some survival stress, chronic stress, trauma patterns. Um, and it needs our support. But how do we do that? We have to learn, but we don't have to do it all on our own. Okay. Um, our wounds did not, our pain did not form overnight. Whatever patterns and repetitive patterns you experience that you want to change or heal, they did not form overnight. They were developed by being patterned into your nervous system with repetitive conditioning or experiences that taught your nervous system that something was painful and potentially threatening to your survival, or it was harmful to you in some way. And then for the rest of your life, your nervous system tries to protect you from that. And then what happens is, time passes and we're no longer facing the same threats, but we are still being protected from them, which when we're trying to create something new, when we're trying to feel better, when we're trying to disrupt a cycle of painful emotion or self-sabotaging behavior, or to just achieve a goal that we have, um, our nervous system still tries to protect us. And so we have to actually learn how to work with it in order to really create that change. Otherwise, we're just trying to force our way upstream against a current, right? That's exhausting. It's exhausting and it's not sustainable effort. So we have to learn how to work with our nervous system. And I've done that, and I teach people how to do that. And something you should know is, as complex as that might sound, you already respond to your body's signals, which is coming from your nervous system, but you're doing it in automatic ways that you learned in the past to cope and survive in the past. And you can just shift what you're doing a little bit and through practice, develop awareness, and then really start getting new outcomes and experiences and breaking free of those patterns and that discomfort and the repetition of the things that you don't want any more of, and experiencing new outcomes or healing or change that's positive and that's what you want. Um, it's really important to clarify what healing means to you too. That's a fundamental part. Without that clarity, it can be difficult to be aware of the changes and improvements that you're creating, like the ripple effect from your efforts to heal and self-care and self-improve. And that's because healing is subtle. The results of healing are subtle. The change is subtle. It builds with time and it grows and becomes less subtle, but it starts off subtle. And in those early stages, that's when we usually drop off our effort because we're like, this isn't working. Um, so for me, healing, like it started off meaning I need relief from the pain, the constant cycle, a never-ending cycle of pain, because it did feel endless. It was physical, mental, and emotional for me. It was also a little bit behavioral. Um, and no matter how hard I worked, no, therapy, self-help books, meditation, all the things, doctor after doctor, everything. It just felt like nothing ever provided more than a Band-Aid's worth of relief. And don't get me wrong, we all need a Band-Aid sometimes. There's nothing wrong with a Band-Aid to get you through. It's just that I I didn't want it to be a band-aid. I wanted the relief to be lasting. The thing is, being a human being means that we are going to cycle through some ups and downs. But the thing is, instead of them being big ups and downs, we can get them to where they're a little bit more manageable and we recover faster from the downs and we bounce back a lot better by working with our nervous system. So, with support and more clarity about what I wanted healing to be, it really helped me create more of the healing outcomes I desired. And part of that involved knowing how I would feel. How does it feel? How do I feel healing or being healed, being in the outcome? How does it affect my health, my life? How does it change things? How does it affect my relationships? I had to explore that. And honestly, it took getting some support and help with that from someone outside of myself because our when we're in pain, when we're overwhelmed, when we actually have pain, physical, mental, emotional, when we're in survival mode, overwhelmed, worried, anxious, all of those things, it's really hard to get clarity. And it's not your fault. Literally, your nervous system is going, we are in survival mode and we are putting all of our energy into surviving. And so it's hard to get that energy redirected in that state to mental clarity, to focused um, thoughts and clear, idea of what it is that you want and need. Deeper, lasting healing and improvements came from understanding my nervous system, which is the real messenger of pain, and learning how to soothe it and support it. Supporting your nervous system through simple soothing responses, somatic self-care, things like vagus nerve stimulation, breathing, but figuring out what kind of breathing actually calms and soothes you. Um, and just figuring out what specifically you need to calm, soothe, and reassure your nervous system back into a state that supports clarity and healing and growth uh, is such a powerful tool. And practicing with that repetitively rewires old patterns and it helps you respond differently to pain and get new outcomes like faster recovery, like not experiencing the same patterns or over and over and over again. And when you do, you're able to get past them quickly. Um, I'm going to share what's been happening with me personally recently. See, I finally got to my story. Woo, I can talk. Um, Recently, I was supposed to get a tattoo reworked. Like I already have one. It's old. It's like 25, maybe 30 years old. Um, and that tattoo, when I got it done 25 or 30 years ago, when it healed, it was severely scarred. So physical scarring. Um, the tattoo was rushed through and it was uh, inked way too deeply. Um, and it scarred me. And it hurt incredibly bad, like out of body experience level bad. And I asked about the pain and was told it just that's normal. It hurts. And I accepted that as true. And the location of it, I wasn't able to see what was happening. And even if I had been able to, I don't know that I would have identified that something was wrong. I didn't have great boundaries. Um, and while I wasn't thrilled that it turned out this way, that it healed with covered in scars, visible scars. Um, I did learn to accept it and eventually came to an understanding with myself through my healing process that what happened with that tattoo was really, it brought attention and awareness to the fact that I was also allowing a lot of unnecessary pain into my life in other ways and just accepting that that was okay and that was normal and that's just the way it was. And sometimes even, well, probably more often than sometimes, probably most of the time, thinking that that pain was happening to me and being, you know, brought into my life because I deserved it. I know now that I don't deserve it. No one does. I mean, we experience pain on and off, and being human, I think there's no way to completely avoid pain, but we can reverse suffering. My early experiences, like pain, it was just, it was normalized. Pain and suffering were really just a huge part of what was accepted and normalized. And my nervous system, as a result, was familiar with pain. And so I mean, I allowed it. I allowed other people to heap their pain on me, and I accepted it because I thought I deserved it. And that tattoo being scarred 25 or 30 years ago, like through my healing process, I went, okay, that's very much a artistic representation of my patterns and what I allowed. Not that it was my fault. It was not. I'm not blaming myself here at all. This is no shame for me. This is just where I was. And I came to realize and accept that. And then I changed it. Um, so not a victim, no victimism here, just facts stated. It was a repetitive pattern. I allowed way too much pain, mistreatment, and I wasn't kind to myself either. So, um, and at a certain point, I think I looked at that scar tattoo and went, "Oh." Like it was my little aha moment, right? And I'm in the process of changing myself and healing those wounds and changing my story. But here we are, like what, 25, 30 years later, and I've had a hard time finding an artist that wants to work because I've actually been looking at getting it reworked for almost 15 years. But I have had a hard time finding a tattoo artist that wants to work with my scar tattoo. Many of them have suggested I get it lasered off and then they start fresh. And I don't want to do that because that scarred tattoo is part of my story. And I can't just erase that part of my story or pretend it didn't happen because it did. Uh, I mean, I'm embracing all the darkest parts, all the pain that was buried deep in my roots, deep under the surface, deep in my subconscious, all those patterns that were playing out in a variety of ways, one of which was not really questioning a tattoo that hurt so, so bad. Um, and for the record, it wasn't my first tattoo, it was my second. So I did have kind of a base knowledge of how it should feel, and it didn't feel like that. And I still didn't question it. But again, that's just a fact. And it's literally was patterned pain pattern in my subconscious, in my nervous system that I went, okay, this hurts really bad, but okay, I can push through it. That was my trauma response. And now I found someone who is willing to rework it as it is, scarred and all, because I need those scars to be represented in the art to show where I was and where I am now. I have no intention of forgetting where I've been, not because it made me who I am, because the pain that I've endured did not make me who I am. I did. I made me who I am by surviving and through my healing process, my dedication and drive for things to be different and better. Um, and then to help others do the same. The new tattoo design that I've created, it really represents me reclaiming myself. And it represents my healing journey, like the whole process, where I was and where I've come to. And it also represents me rewriting my story, in my own words, uh, rewriting my story on my own terms, in my own words, instead of just subconsciously believing and playing out the story that was written for me and about me through my past experiences and through other people's pain that brought those experiences into my world, especially as a child. It's me rewriting my story into one where I thrive, where I know where I've been, and I know where I'm going, and I know who I am. I know what my innate value is as a human being, and that I create safety for myself and for my inner child that learned that pain was just something I had to accept because I'm not that person anymore. And I am that person still because I remember. And through the remembering, I know that I'll never go back there. The morning that I was supposed to have it done last week, I became aware of the specific story I was rewriting. I am healing and rewriting the story of abandonment from my childhood into one where I am safe and loved and seen and accepted. Um, and rewriting that story, it's really a game changer for me. And for the record, it's a wound I have spent a lot of time healing. And it just resurfaced in a whole new way, at a whole new level for more healing. And that, and recognizing that that can absolutely be a normal part of the healing process without erasing all the progress and effort that you made before, it doesn't mean you're starting over with healing. It means you're going deeper. And recognizing that is actually, it can be empowering. And um, I don't know. I woke up that morning for the tattoo, and in that moment where I realized that the story that I was changing, when I became aware of what it was, when I noticed it, became aware, it brought up tears, and it hit me unexpectedly. The emotions, the memories, and the yeah, it was intense. It was really uncomfortable, but it was an opportunity to really process a lot of old grief and take that healing all the way deep by responding to that discomfort, the pain and the grief with reassurance to my younger self that healing is happening and safety and that I'm surrounded by people who care and I'm not being abandoned and I've never abandoned myself. Through that process, deep healing happened for me. And the tattoo itself, this process of getting this tattoo reworked, isn't just ink. It's not just art. It's not just my story. Turned out it was an unexpected part of my healing process where it triggered it. Um, Sometimes healing happens when we least expect it. And a lot of times that's what's possible when discomfort comes up, sensations, emotions, triggers, overwhelm. Something inside you that you've been carrying a long time is ready to heal. And that healing is possible with a little bit of attention, even if you don't have the full amount of clarity and awareness about all the details, you can recognize the signal itself and acknowledge it, and then soothe your nervous system in response to create healing. I think my journey and the techniques and the process that I teach others, it really is all about supporting the nervous system and being supported so that you're not carrying the burden of responsibility for all the things. And nervous system support just, it helps us get present and connected in our body. It helps us reconnect to the parts of ourselves that we've been disconnected from for a long time. It helps process old emotions to just create more capacity and resilience so we can bounce back faster when emotions do come up or stress happens. And it really develops self-trust. If this resonates with you, if you're tired of feeling stuck with pain or trapped in repetitive patterns, or just overwhelmed by your healing or self-care journey, I want you to know that you can learn to listen and respond to your body, to your nervous system, to the signals in new ways to create deep, lasting healing and help yourself recover faster from discomfort or life's ups and downs or stresses. And you don't have to do it alone. That's why I created a self-healing support community. I created a space where you can find the support, guidance, connection, the resources, and real tools to support your nervous system, process trauma patterns, and build sustainable healing habits. Um, it's a place for getting results, a place where you can get the support you need to get from where you are to where you want to be. Healing in community is not just comforting, and it's actually transformational because you'll be able to see parts of yourself reflected in others. And it helps you uncover blind spots and access a deeper level of healing than you can really access on your own because your nervous system and your subconscious are protecting you from some of the past pain that you've experienced or the limitations that it holds within it in the patterns that are holding you back from creating more of the health and achieving the goals that you are working to create right now. Even the good things. Sometimes our nervous system resists because it's trying so hard to protect us. You can access resources too, so many resources. Instead of having to go out and find them and seek them out on your own, you can actually just find what you need or ask for what you need inside the self-healing support community. Inside the self-healing support community, um, you don't have to carry the full burden of responsibility for your self-care and your healing journey. Uh, you don't have to spend all of your time and energy seeking and finding and practicing through trial and error, all the things, and being accountable for remembering to do the things and remembering to show up for yourself and prioritize yourself. And then having to figure out what works and what doesn't, and then what to do when it doesn't. Um, you can make more time for you and put more energy and attention into you. And that's really where you're going to get the biggest results from your effort. Um, and actually take up less time, a lot less time. So if you're ready to stop struggling on your own and start thriving in a supportive community, I invite you to join us. Take the step today to reclaim your health, your peace, your time, your energy, your health. Well, I think I already said health, but super your health because supporting your nervous system is supporting your health and your life. The link is in the description of this video, and you can go check it out, learn more, sign up, and be a part of something that'll take you where you want to go in your healing and your personal development, spiritual development, and just creating the life that you want, achieving your goals. And I'll be there to guide you. Don't try to figure it out on your own, not even inside the self-healing support community, because when you join, reach out to me and let's make a plan of action. So you're putting your time and energy into what you need and meet you where you are to get you where you want to be. Your body can become your number one self-care tool when you learn to listen and respond to its signals. And those signals are often discomfort, and discomfort comes in many forms, including physical pain, symptoms, sensations, emotional pain, repetitive pain, repetitive emotions, repetitive symptoms, feeling stuck, feeling like you're constantly hitting a wall, having repetitive issues that come up in your life, in your relationships, uh, in your relationship with yourself, um, triggers that are actually disruptive, anxiety, overwhelm, repetitive thoughts, internalized narratives um, about yourself, what you can and can't do, things that leave you feeling small or defeated. If you're chronically stuck in survival mode, and or if you're repeatedly not getting results or achieving your goals in any way, those are all signals. That's your body telling you that your nervous system needs more attention, it needs more support, and there's no reason you have to do it all on your own. I'm excited to meet you inside the self-healing support community where you can learn to support your nervous system. You can have your body's natural healing and regulating systems be supported, so you don't have to worry about that. You just show up for yourself and engage with the healing sessions. And then you can also be supported and guided in your efforts so that you can finally get the results you desire and deserve for the effort that you're driven to make to heal, self-care, and thrive. Click the link in the description to learn more and sign up today, and I'll see you there.